Hello, I'm Mo Speaks. If you're new here, like, subscribe, share. What's going on, Dish and Dirt? Got a new setup here. Sorry, I'm a little late. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I had to add stuff to this MacBook that's a little bit different from the other one, and it just caused issues. I got something's going on with the keyboard. It's all everything had to connect, and I should have prepared for this. Anyway, how you guys doing today? I want to talk about the war in Iran. So the title of today's live is "The War in Iran: History Repeats Itself. Donald Trump must learn from past wars and ignore the Warhawks." I feel like we've been manipulated into a war that I don't even believe Donald Trump wanted. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to fix it. I had to move my monitors. I had a lot to do, way more than I thought. I thought I'd just be able to come up and treat this just like the old one. I moved everything here, and yeah, that didn't work. It didn't work at all. So I believe we were manipulated in this war. I don't think Trump ever wanted this war. Matter of fact, I know he. Well, I won't say I know because I don't know for sure. I know he said he did not want this war, and I can only go off of what he said. Now, what he's doing is something completely different, obviously. So I have to question it. We're we're very arrogant when it comes to war, and I'm not sure people realize how arrogant we are. We kind of think, well, we're the biggest, most powerful, most invested in, most technological military force the world has ever known, and that's true. It's very true. Uh, but we also tend to think we can kind of just do what we want, and there won't be any, or that it's going to be an automatic victory, and there won't be any accountability. And that's a mistake. That's a really big mistake. And if you really think about it, I'm gonna pull something up real quick. If you really think about where we are, how does it sound? Does it sound okay? Because again, this is different. I don't know if I gotta allow everything now. Allow. Let's do it. No, let's not do that. Let's see. Yeah, this is way more. Oh, crap. My apologies. I really should have prepared better for that. I just came up here just half hour earlier. I would have noticed all this. Let me cancel this. All right. So what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say the reality is the United States has not won any wars since Desert Storm. What year was Desert Storm? I actually have the tab. Let me pull it up anyway. Let's try it again a different way. So if you look at what we've actually done, let me make it bigger. Uh, I just typed in what wars has the U.S. won. World War II and the Gulf War. That's it. So I don't know where this arrogance comes from because it's really interesting when you really think about it. A lot of people don't even remember Desert Storm, and if they do, they don't remember what it's about. They probably think that's the Saddam Hussein war. It's not. It was about Kuwait. Um, the last person, or actually, I won't say the last person. I would say 1945. World War II ended over 80 years ago. Over 80 years ago. So there's not that many people around who remember actual war and what that really looks like. And what we're doing is like my father. He was in his 80s when he passed away a few months ago. He fought in Korea. The Korean War ended in 53. We haven't had many wars in our lifetime. And I think this arrogance comes from actually I don't know where it comes from. It's just weird because it's a bravado type of thing. It's kind of like when you get a new video game or you get a new toy when you're a kid and you just want to go out and you want to try it. Or if you learn something new in jujitsu class, you just want to go out and you want to try it. And that's not a good thing. It's definitely not good if you haven't done it and you don't know what can happen in return. And that's where the big problem has been coming in my opinion, because we're not even really allowed to talk about war when it comes to our government, because our government hasn't declared any wars since we didn't even declare war for. I don't even think we declared war for Desert Storm. We may have. I think that was. Yeah, I don't know. I just know we haven't declared official war, I believe, since Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. And we didn't win that one. These are other conflicts. They started calling them conflicts because you can't call it war, because we're not allowed to declare war, because that would require Congress to pass. And we have two parties here who hate each other. So even if we really should go to war, they won't vote for whatever the other side is saying. That's just what it is. And what's interesting is when I look at this and I say our major victories, I don't know, I guess you can call Civil War a victory because the right side won, but what did we win? We lost hundreds of thousands of people fighting over something that shouldn't have been happening in the first place. So to me, that's kind of weird. I don't understand how that's considered a win. I mean, again, we freed slaves, so obviously that's a win, but the country was really, 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 really split, and it caused problems all the way up until the 70s. So I don't know if that's considered a victory. For us, for Black people, obviously it was a victory, but the country itself was at war for so long, even after the war, that I don't know. I'm just looking at our actual wars, and this one was quick, very decisive, awesome. We went in, we liberated Kuwait. I don't know what that has to do with here, but these are all wars over stuff. And when Trump renamed the Department of Defense the Department of War, I thought he was just trolling. I didn't realize that he was actually talking about going to war, because what he ran on is the exact opposite. So what he ran on was this.
I am the candidate of peace. I am peace. People don't believe that. I am peace.
A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for a man who wants to end wars, not start them.
We do not want war with Iran. We actually want peace. The Iranians are clearly not very good at war. Perhaps they should follow President Trump's lead and give peace a chance.
Kamala's campaigning with warmongers like Liz Cheney. How do you think that is? She picks Liz Cheney, whose father virtually destroyed the Middle East. Liz Cheney, she talks big, I want war. She always wants war. Every time I was with her in the White House, we should attack this nation, that nation. Nations that people never even heard of, we should attack. She's a big, tough guy. She sits back in Washington, we ought to go and attack Iran, Iraq. We're going to attack everybody. That's why I broke up with her. All she wanted to do is go to war with everybody. These Warhawks, they want to draft your kids to die in wars, and they will never fight themselves. We'll stay around the country for 15 years, just bomb the hell out of everybody, make everybody miserable. Nobody knows why we're there, the wars that never end. These endless wars that we've been in, I've gotten us out of so many. We don't want to get into wars. We're tired of fighting. I'm the only president in the last 84 years that didn't start a war. Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more wars, no more wars. We will have prosperity and peace. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. Remember, I'm the president of peace. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. He's going to start a war. I said, no. My rhetoric is going to keep us out of wars, and that's what happened. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective. I believe that he will attack Iran sometime prior to the election because he thinks that's the only way he can get elected. Isn't it pathetic?
And here we are.
On the ground in southern Lebanon, one more house, one more home, reduced to rubble and twisted metal in the early morning hours. This strike in a village called Sir al-Gabiye forms part of a fast expanding war as Israel deploys the full force of its military. But the local mayor didn't call it an attack. He called it a massacre.
The death toll in Lebanon has risen to 570 people, according to the Lebanese Health Ministry, since the renewed conflict between Israel and Hezbollah began 8 days ago. A paramedic was among those killed in Tyre, southern Lebanon. Alarm has also been caused in Beirut following an Israeli airstrike in central Beirut, targeting an apartment building in Aisha Bakar, with Lebanese civilians asking the government where they can possibly go, given that Israel had not issued any kind of evacuation notice or warning before this strike targeting central Beirut. Now, the displacement of people continues in Lebanon, with the Lebanese authorities reporting that the displaced from southern Lebanon and southern Beirut has risen to 780,000 people, as this conflict here shows no sign of slowing, with Israel and Hezbollah continuing to trade blows on Wednesday.
So before I keep going here, I want to do a little history lesson, because I just wanted to play that part of this video because they're naming some names. Lebanon and Beirut, I believe, is the capital of Lebanon, and Israel attacked Lebanon. This just happened the other day. Maybe 4 or 5 days ago. In 1982, we jumped into a war that remarkably mirrors what we just saw. And I'm gonna play it again, but I just need people to understand what is happening right now already happened. We saw this. As of yesterday, I believe they just said 780,000 people in Lebanon have been forced to leave their homes. 1982, this happened. This exact same scenario happened. So I'm going to play the rest of this. Actually, yeah, let me play this.
The Middle East conflict that has spun out of U.S. Operation Epic Fury is now spreading across the Persian Gulf countries with no immediate signs of de-escalation.
Iran targeted U.S. bases in Qatar, Kuwait and Iraq. In the United Arab Emirates, 2 drones struck close to the Dubai airport.
So that's Qatar. So let me touch on this whole Lebanon thing first, because what we're doing here, in 1982, Israel went in and did almost the exact same thing. Should I play the Qatar part first? All right, let me play the Qatar part first and finish this part out. Sorry, I just yeah, I'm going to play this one.
Any party that targets civilian infrastructure, we are urging them to stop that immediately because it will have repercussions. We are communicating to all parties the same message. The civilian infrastructure should be out of this escalation and cannot be accepted.
The Israeli Defense Forces says it hit an Iranian launch squad minutes before it allegedly launched a drone attack toward Israel. The IDF also continues to run a barrage of missiles down on Lebanon, where it says it's targeting Hezbollah strongholds. And in Iran, the police chief has issued a warning in a bid of crackdown on potential anti-government protests.
We will no longer consider them protesters. We will regard them as the enemy, and we will treat them as we treat the enemy. All our team
remember what he's about to say right here, because I'm going to bring this back up later.
Have their fingers on the trigger, ready to defend the revolution and support our people and our homeland.
So Iran's not even allowing protests anymore because they think in their mind that some of those people are either American or Jewish. So if you protest in Iran right now, they will shoot. This is what war looks like.
Iran's intelligence ministry said on Tuesday it has also arrested dozens of people, including a foreign national, accused of spying for the country's enemies.
With the hope of a ceasefire between Israel and Iran fading, President Trump lashing out at both countries.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing.
After Israel and Iran agreed to a ceasefire overnight, within hours, Israel accusing Iran of violating the agreement. Israel's Fire and Rescue Authority says this was the scene in the northern part of the country, part of an Israeli interceptor missile seen here, landing near a shed filled with goats.
So they said Iran broke the ceasefire, and they fired a missile that landed near a shed with goats. I want you to hear the response. And this is an ongoing theme that's been happening for decades.
Iran denying the attack. Israel responding, launching retaliatory strikes, claiming to destroy a radar system near Tehran. President Trump says he believes both countries violated the ceasefire.
So Iran hit a shack with a couple goats near it that the goats weren't even dead. And they respond by dropping bombs in the city and attacking radar systems. This is a very, very, very common theme of what happens when somebody who does not want a war to end. This is what they do. They completely, and it's way over proportion, they completely exaggerate what happened, and then they blow up a whole bunch of stuff and say, oh, wait, we're just responding. Well, we know what happened because we just saw the little patch of fire and the goats were still alive. So you start blowing up more things in the city.
You guys got to calm down. It's ridiculous.
President Trump speaking to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this morning after calling on Israel to not attack Iran and turn around its planes. Netanyahu's office says after speaking to Trump, they refrained from further attacks on Iran.
So what they're doing is they're making it seem like, oh, okay, my bad. We'll back off. You guys keep doing your ceasefire talks. And they did the same thing again in Qatar in September of last year. So what we just saw was in August, I believe, of last year. June or August somewhere. June. It was June. Yeah, it was June of last year. And that's when Trump cursed them out, said they don't know what the F they're doing. And then in September, they did it again. Only we were in talks with Qatar. And Qatar has made itself kind of like, not a no-fly zone, but that they're negotiating all the peace deals. They don't have the greatest history, but they're negotiating all the peace deals right now in the Middle East. And the same thing happened there again.
It was the attack no one expected. In broad daylight near the center of Qatar's capital. It was another demonstration of hard Israeli power, a serious escalation in Israel's multi-front war in the Middle East, and a blow for America's diplomatic efforts to end the Gaza war. Qatar for...
So, we're there negotiating an end to the Israeli-Gaza war. While we're negotiating, what does Israel do? They don't bomb Iran, they bomb Qatar, where we are negotiating peace. And look, this is the pattern. Watch this.
Years has worked to become the Switzerland of the Middle East, a place where enemies in the world's most turbulent region can perhaps find a space for diplomacy. In Washington, the White House press secretary read out a rare rebuke for Israel from President Trump.
Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goal.
So again, peace talks, and what does Iran do? I'm sorry, not Iran. What does Israel do? They attack. They don't want the peace that they say they want. They want the land. And it's really interesting because this is what relates to 1982. In August, around the same time, which is really interesting, during peace talks, Israel had a general, or I think it was a minister of defense, or I don't know what they label their people, but his name was Ariel Sharon. And he decided to carpet bomb Lebanon, Beirut to be exact. It was so bad that we threatened the Israeli prime minister. His name was Menachem Begin, I believe. Menachem Begin. And this is what happened. Let me get out of here. Because it's really... When the little brother keeps getting into fights, and it's always somebody new, at some point the big brother's got to say, "What are you doing? If you're starting these fights, why do you keep coming to me?" And that's what we don't seem to be doing. That's what Trump's not either understanding or thinking about. And I don't understand why he's not thinking about it, because once again, this happened. And again, this is 1982. So if you can see that, it says Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin, I'm probably butchering his name, said Sunday, Ronald Reagan hurt me very deeply when he described a massive Israeli airstrike on Beirut as a Holocaust during an angry phone call. He was hurt. He carpet bombed, killed 500 something people, and he was hurt that because how Ronald Reagan described it as a whole. You can't use that. We use that. Wait, whoa, you can't say that. That's our thing. So Ronald Reagan, this is August 12th, 1982. This is a pretty cool thing he was doing. He was doing this diary thing. President Reagan participates in a taping for television radio. This was what he did that day. Israeli jets bombed Beirut for 11 hours. I think it was actually 14 hours straight. The European community rejects President Reagan's embargo on the U.S. technology of construction for Soviet Europe natural gas pipeline. So this is Reagan's actual notes. He said he met with the news, and Israelis delivered the most devastating bomb artillery attack on West Beirut lasting 14 hours. Yep, I knew it. Habib Cable, desperate, has basic agreement from all parties, but can't arrange details of the PLO withdrawal because of the barrage. King Fahad called begging me to do something. This is Ronald Reagan in his own words. I told him I was calling Prime Minister Bijan immediately, and I did. I was angry. I told him it had to stop, or our entire future relationship was endangered. So he threatened him. If you don't knock it off, we're done. I used the word Holocaust deliberately and said the symbol of his war is becoming a picture of a 7-month-old baby with its arms blown off. This is exactly what we're seeing right now. He told me he had ordered the bombing stopped. I asked about the artillery fire. He claimed that the PLO started it, that Israeli forces had taken casualties. End of call. 20 minutes later, he called to tell me that he ordered an end to the barrage and pled for our continued friendship. Spent the rest of the day meeting with congressmen on a tax bill. That's exactly what happened in Qatar while we were negotiating peace. That's exactly what we just saw now. But this happened in 1982. It is identical. There's literally no difference. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Didn't know you were there. Peace talks. What does Trump do? You guys don't know what the F you're doing. Knock it off. So they know they're going to get away with this stuff, and they keep doing this stuff because they know we're going to be there to back them up regardless. Why? Because people like Ted Cruz, people like Lindsey Graham, we're going to get into him. We're going to get into Lindsey Graham's antics in a little bit. But these people are devoted to a country. They don't seem to care about what the people want, because when we don't want war, our politicians seem to ignore that. I played a little bit of Mike Huckabee talking about this. Well, if the people don't like it, then they can get rid of us. Well, if you run on not having war, you know the people don't like it. That's why they voted for it. It's backwards. So what we're doing is we're partaking in stuff that has nothing to do with us. We're getting in the middle, and then these nations get mad at us and they hate us, and then we get mad because they hate us. And they chant death to America because we're meddling in their fight with this country that they want war. I played Mike Huckabee saying, because this is biblical, and we're mixing theology with geopolitics, Israel believes they have a right, not just to where they are, but all of the land, because they were promised it by God. And because they only go by the Old Testament, they truly believe this. So this is a war of religion, of faith. Well, not really faith, of religion. And Muslims are fighting Jewish people. And they both have this belief that they're entitled to land. And they use this Zionism thing to have us saying things like, well, I support Israel and its right to exist. Nobody said they don't have a right to exist. Muslims say that because you guys are at war with Muslims. But people here don't say Israel doesn't have a right to exist. So what are you really saying when you say that? You're saying, I believe biblically that Israel has a right to what was promised to them, and that is all that land. What's up, bad guy? And that's not good. We don't, in this world, with geopolitics, you cannot have theocracies. And what we have is, we'll always say, well, these Muslim countries and their jihadists, and I'm not defending them. I don't believe anything that they believe. But we only put it on their side. We don't do the same thing when it comes to Israel and the Jewish faith, because they're the ones who are saying the exact same thing. They're just saying, or it's opposite. They're saying we are entitled to this land, and Muslims are saying, no, we are entitled to this land, and they are at war. We have absolutely no business being involved in this. It's none of our business. And by picking a side, we are choosing a theological, I don't want to say theory. We're choosing a theological side. And we're saying, and obviously if you pick one, you have to be against the other. But do we? Can we just say, nah, yeah, we're good. We're good. This has nothing to do with this. You guys need to work this out. And whatever happens, happens. I mean, I don't know what else to say, because our allegiance to this one side, because we consider ourselves a Judeo-Christian country, it seems as if we have to hate Muslims in order for that to happen, because we are siding with a side that hates Muslims. They don't say it, obviously. They're not going to come out and say it. But if you say, I have a right to where you live and I'm going to take it by force, and then I'm going to use my big brother behind me, and if you do anything, he's going to step in. What is that? We're taking that side under the guise of, well, they have a right to exist, so the other people don't. That's the implication when you say something like that. So Ariel Sharon carpet bombs, massacres thousands of people. Anywhere between, I think they said 500 and 3,500 people died from this one bombing. And he refused to step down as the defense minister or general, whatever he was. And President Beijing wouldn't make him resign. He wouldn't fire him. So the final tipping point, going back to what we heard Iran say, that, hey, if you're protest, we're shooting you. We're not doing this right now. Do this when we're not at war. Back to that. The final tipping point for Ariel Sharon is one of his people threw a grenade into a crowd of protesters. Here we use rubber bullets, we use tear gas. Ariel Sharon, grenade. Blew a couple people up, injured dozens or a dozen. I don't remember how many people. But he blew these people up. And finally they said, all right, you got to step down. And he stepped down, but he didn't leave the cabinet. So he didn't even get fired. This is the culture we're in right now in this country, which is why so many people are always mad. Nobody ever gets any accountability or has to be accountable for their own actions. So we sit here and, or not we, but they sit here and they have a guy who massacred people in front of the world, then throws a grenade into a group of protesters. And we're sitting here acting like this is not a thing. What's up, Uncle L? We're sitting here acting like that's not a big deal because we support these people, even though they're doing something horrific during peace talks. But they know they can get away with it by saying, oh, my bad. Well, dude, you just killed thousands of people. What do you mean, my bad? What is really going on right here? Because even when Ariel Sharon didn't step down and he's still part of the cabinet, Beijing said, yeah, some people got hurt, but it's their fault. And that's what they're doing now. Well, they're hiding behind people, so we got to kill the people. This is literally what's happening. We already saw this war in the exact same location, exact same scenarios. So we're in peace talks with Iran, they bomb Iran. We're in peace talks about Iran in Qatar, they bomb Qatar. They're bombing Beirut. Mid-ceasefire. Ceasefire means you cease to fire. You don't stop shooting. Let's talk about this. Okay, you guys talk about it. And then the other side stills on the dude over your shoulders. Like, what are you doing? I'm in between you guys now. Stop fighting. And he just... That's what Israel is doing. Only they're unaliving and they're killing thousands of people. So it's not just one punch. So how can there be peace in this area? And again, we end up in the middle of this because we're meddling, because that's what we're doing. There's no reason for us to be doing this unless it's over stuff, oil, trade, defense positioning. That's what we're doing there. Both sides end up hating us. But the one side that we're helping, they won't say it. But their behavior shows that they do, because they're spying on us. Everything we do for these people, and they still spy on us. What are you doing? Why? They still come here, they break our laws, they track down people in this country, whether you're American or you're from somewhere else. They're still doing Mossad ops here in this country. They're not supposed to do that. We do that with enemies. You're supposed to be our biggest ally. What are you doing? Well, it's for our national security. Okay, well, what about ours? They don't care. I don't have an issue with what they're doing, because they're doing what's best for their country. I have an issue with our government not doing the same thing. Our government should be doing everything in our own interest. Don't care what other people say, even our biggest ally, because Israel does not care about what we say, because they only care about the survival of their people. That's how America should be. I just want what they do. I want my country, like Tucker Carlson said, to love our people as much as Israel loves them. They'll do anything. And we should be doing anything for peace. Ariel Sharon, who wouldn't step down, stayed part of not ministrations. I don't know what they call them there. He stayed in government for decades after that. But they never gave him a position, because they knew if they gave him a position, the whole world would complain. Why? Oh, he killed a few thousand people, blah, blah, blah. Like it's nothing. He stayed in every administration for decades until he became Prime Minister of Israel in 2001. Never held accountable for thousands of civilians, not military people he was killing. Civilians, literal war crimes. He became their president. Today, Bibi Netanyahu is mirroring what Ariel Sharon did in 1982 and a lot of other times before that. And this is his pathway to avoiding accountability, because as long as he's in office, no one can do anything to him. So he's got to keep the wars going, and this is what he's doing. You can disagree. Okay, we can talk about it. It's what he's doing. Here's how extreme Netanyahu is. He did not like Sharon because Sharon was not hawkish enough. The dude committed several massacres. Like, they call them massacres. You can look him up. They call what he did massacres. And Bibi Netanyahu says, he's too soft. He sold out. He didn't go far enough for him. Netanyahu does not like Ariel Sharon because he didn't do enough. He betrayed Israel over the Gaza disengagement in 2005. So what? He should have carpet bombed more people? Like, what is this? That's how extreme Netanyahu is, that Ariel Sharon is considered not extreme enough for him. They were in the same party. He said, you betrayed the party, you betrayed Israel. Because he gave up some land and actually negotiated. They don't want that. So every time Israel attacks one of the countries that we're negotiating with over Iran, they're going to bomb them because they don't want that. Netanyahu sees that as weak. He sees that as a betrayal. Why are you negotiating with them? They're terrorists. We need to get rid of all of them. They need to be eradicated, obliterated. So in this case, I'm going to ignore Grenada. I'm going to ignore Panama. I'm going to ignore Somalia. I'm going to ignore Bosnia. I'm going to ignore Kosovo. I'm going to ignore Libya. And we're going to move straight to 9/11. And the reason I'm ignoring all of those is because those were conflicts. Those weren't wars. Again, you have to have consent to go to war. It's easier to call them conflicts. So America does not like war. Regardless of how many people get macho and say, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do this to this country and do that to the other country. We're not. Because the people don't want that. Everyone says they want it until they have kids. Because I was kind of hawkish. I wasn't that bad. I wasn't John McCain bad or Lindsey Graham bad. I was like, hey, They hate us. I don't care what happens to them. But now I'm kind of looking at it differently because I have a son and he's only 7, but it's very easy when you don't have a son or when your son's too old to be in the military, to say, yeah, we should do this, we should do that, we should do this. Or if you have a daughter, because there's never going to be a conscription on them. There's never going to be forced. It's always going to be voluntary. But when you have a son and you realize my son can go to war because Israel wants war, you start looking at it a little bit different. I did. Maybe it's just me. Because I'm on the far right. But this is not good. Going to war for another country is not good. So 9/11, we got attacked. Just like Pearl Harbor, we got attacked. Enlistments at an all-time high because why? We were attacked. I need to protect my home. I need to protect my people. I need to fight for my country. That's what America does. And once we do that, whew, that's when you should be brave and have the bravado and talk and be arrogant, because that's when you have a real fighting force. That didn't happen here. That happened for Israel. That happened for Ukraine. And let those people fight. But if that doesn't happen here, what are we doing? So it's easy to say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. People have to have the will for that to be the case, and it won't last very long. So when Bush said that we were going to go in and we were going to find bin Laden, and I don't remember all of the stuff he said, but don't worry, we're only going to increase your travel time by 2 hours. You're going to have to get to the airport 2 hours early because we're going to search everything. And we may frisk you, we may fill on you, we may have perverts touching your woman. That's okay. You got to take off his shoes. We're going to invade your privacy 100%. You're not going to be able to do anything, but that's okay because we were attacked. And this is going to go on forever. 30, 40, 50 years later, you guys are going to be going through this. Hey, guess what? We just got the great news a couple of weeks ago. You don't have to take your shoes off at the airport anymore. Really? Oh, we think that's a good thing. There was a time when you could go fly and not have to do any of this stuff. They would watch you, they would observe, they would see if you act weird. There was metal detectors, I believe. But there was a time where we didn't have to wait in these lines and go through all this because we are meddling in the Middle East, and the Middle East hates us because we have sided with this one country called Israel. And that one country called Israel hates them and says that they need to be removed from their land. And we're saying, yeah. And the result of that is forever, we have to have all of our privacies completely invaded if we want to travel, if we want to fly. There was a time where that didn't exist. I don't know if you guys remember that. There was a time when you didn't get fully dressed up to go fly, but you didn't go with house shoes on and bonnets, and I'm seeing people with their shoes off, and there was a time when that didn't exist, where you could actually just go to the airport, get on a plane, and fly. Can't do that anymore because 9/11 happened. We were attacked. But the resolve of the American people was, hey, we're going to give all of this up because we know how dangerous it is. Where I tried to enlist, I don't want to say millions, but I know at least tens of thousands of people. It was at an all-time high enlistment where people were going, we need to fight. This is a fight I'm willing to fight for. And if you don't have that, like now, we're in a time of peace. You have a bunch of kids who never went outside and wrestled, much less tried to fight. They sit at home, they play video games. That's the technological advantages that we have over other countries. That's where we are, right? These are the kids we're now saying need to go to war. These are the kids we're saying we need to send to war to defend Israel and their right to exist. Since when does anyone have a right to exist? What country was formed without taking away somebody else's right to have that land? And if they didn't give it to you, guess what? You don't have a right to exist. Literally every country in the history of the world was taken And somebody lost that right as a country to exist. But for some reason, this one has a caveat that comes with it. That you, if you're American, you have to send your kid to war to make sure that this other country doesn't lose their right to exist as a country. Because the Bible says so. It doesn't, but they believe it does. In the Old Testament, it says that. It's not really talking about land, but we'll say it's talking about land. That's fine. What does that have to do with it? What if you're Muslim and you don't believe that and you're a tax-paying American citizen? And we pay 900 and some odd $billion a year to go to war. And Israel gets $4 billion a year, not including wartime, which is always. So we're constantly funneling money in to go against your own interests. If you're Buddhist, same thing. If you're Hindu, same thing. Why? Why are we fighting a religious war when most people in this country, if they're not secular, they're not practicing? We're a Christian nation for sure, but a lot of people don't. They're not really in it. They're Christian in name only. But when we get involved in this stuff, everyone hates us. And we act like, well, what are you talking about? We're great. You guys want to be like us. It's envy. No, it's hate. It's definitely hate. But there's no reason right now to justify this war to the American people that they'll get behind it like they did with Pearl Harbor. That people were lying about their ages just to go to war after Pearl Harbor. That's how patriotic this country became. Because we were attacked. That's where we are. Donald Trump said no new wars, drain the swamp, release the Epstein files, release JFK files, be the most transparent administration ever, and close the border. He's closed the border. That's it. Everything else he hasn't done. So when you combine it's not a lack of patriotism. It's just no one's going to act on it because, again, we weren't attacked. You combine that lack of will to fight for something that can't be defined because they'll just say, well, do you stand with Israel? No, I don't even know. I mean, no, a Jewish person from Israel, I stand with that guy, but no, I don't stand with the whole country. I don't know. We don't have that will. So if you don't have that will, and then you have an entire half of the country that feels betrayed by the guy they voted in, more than half the country. Then you have the other half who hates him anyway. You now have zero morale when it comes to war. And when you have no reason, you have no will, the morale's already low. People can't pay for things. Gas just went up over $1 in within 2 weeks, 12 days, I think it is. And people start saying, what are we doing? Why am I paying an extra $1, over $1? I'm paying $10 every time I go fill up extra from what I was just paying 2 weeks ago. What are we doing? What is this? And a lot of you guys pay more. Because I was all the way down to $1.79 in gas here in Houston. $1.79. It's now over $2.89. Just like that. You get sick of that really, 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 really fast. So, where is this? Here we go. 1 second. Share screen. Since 9/11, make it full. The cost of every war since 9/11 to present, $8 trillion. With a T. Total spent and obligated from 2001 to present, $8 trillion. I just need you to think about that number because I don't know if people can grasp that number. In Afghanistan and Pakistan, over 2 trillion. In Iraq and Syria, over 2 trillion. In the wider Middle East, that's everywhere else. That's Yemen and Lebanon and I already said Syria. What other nations were over there? 9.5 billion to 12 billion for activities. I don't even know what that means. But just support. Counter-terror operations, 355 billion in Somalia and other parts of Africa. The average American cost-payer has contributed over $20,000 towards these wars. That's how much you yourself has spent. And that's not even including inflationary, not costs. That's not including inflationary results, I guess. I don't know what else to call that. Yeah, I don't know what else to call that. All right, so most of the rest of this presentation is going to be Lindsey Graham, because he is the person who I believe is, well, I know he's pushing for this. This is what he wants. This guy salivates over. I want you to see what kind of evil we're dealing with. And this is the people who are around Trump right now. These people hated Trump when he came in office. They didn't like the guy. They mocked him. They said he's an idiot. Now you're going to hear Lindsey Graham praising him, calling him the greatest president of all time, because he's doing what he wants him to do. What does he want? Blood. And it sounds hyperbolic. It's not. He wants blood.
America went to war in the aftermath of 9/11. Back then, the mission in Afghanistan was clear.
The Taliban allowed bin Laden and al-Qaeda to live and operate there with impunity.
But less than 2 years after the 9/11 attacks, the Bush administration turned its attention to Iraq, claiming a threat of weapons of mass destruction there.
Iraq had no role in the 9/11 attacks, full stop.
It was a terrible and ugly manipulation of the American people. They wanted someone to blame, and Saddam was a target they could blame.
So 2 years after we lost all of our rights, Bush changed course and went somewhere that had nothing to do with the war, because it's had to do with oil and money. That's what he was worried about. So was it really about going to war to get bin Laden? No. We were still in Afghanistan, wasting money, spending money, burning down poppy seed crops, and all this stuff we're doing we turned into a country that was just regime change. That's what we were doing. Well, they want to be like us. Well, don't they hate us? Yeah, but they want to be like us. It's not that's not really how it works.
Years stretched on, at times as many as 157,000 troops in Iraq and 103,000 in Afghanistan. And the strategy in the two countries shifted.
It moved from being a war against terrorism to an effort to try to nation build, not just in Afghanistan, but in Iraq.
In May 2011, the U.S. accomplishing the original goal that led it to Afghanistan.
The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda.
But there would still be 10 more years of war.
So the morning that we woke up to the news that Osama bin Laden had been killed in Pakistan, that news led off the meeting, and then it was immediately business as usual. I think that's the moment that we realized how divorced we were from that reason for being there.
The war in Afghanistan costing the U.S. more than $800 billion. The human toll, more than 2,300 U.S. service members killed. In Iraq, more than $750 billion spent, and nearly 4,500 American military casualties.
9/11 was a tremendous tragedy, but in many ways, the wars that resulted from it are greater tragedies that killed more Americans and certainly many more people.
I think time will tell. I hope they died for something greater. You know, while we were there, I think that a lot of folks actually did make a difference. Some folks got an education that they might not have gotten. Some folks had access to health care that they might not have gotten.
And that's where I went into, actually I already played that, so we don't have to do that again. The cost of war. When you look at where we are now, from a financial standpoint, from a financial perspective, our finances aren't much different due to, or in part because of inflation. I said earlier they call them conflicts. So you have Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm. They weren't wars, but they cost this country so much because war is inflationary. What you do is you call it a conflict, and I forget what they call it. I can't remember what they call. I think it's act of aggression, or I forget what they declare it. What is it called? I may have to look this one up because they authorized it. Sorry. I can't remember what it's called, but they can't call it war because it has to be declared, like I said, by both sides, and they'll never do that. People would never allow that. If I took a poll in this chat right now, how many of you guys could name 10 conflicts that we're in right now? I don't think I couldn't until I started looking into this for this live. But I can name 10. I can name more than that, but now I can name 10. I put it right here. I have Somalia, Yemen, Pakistan, Syria, Ukraine, Iran, Nigeria, Venezuela, Cameroon, and Mali. And that's not even including what's here on this side of the world in South America, because we have ops going on all over. We are now at $39 trillion as a result of federal spending and nationwide interest. So back to what I was saying about inflation. War is inflationary. It increased costs of everything because the government is spending more money, and they're not just spending more money on military operations, but they're spending money trying to keep inflation down. So they're looking elsewhere for oil. They're doing research. They're doing all these other things that have nothing to do with what we would normally be focused on, which is our economy. On top of that, the military has a $900 billion budget every year on the military already. So that increases dramatically because what we're doing is on top of the budget. That's just maintenance. Healthcare, weapons, maintaining weapons, military training, all that stuff. All that stuff. Yes. Spending billions to save a dollar. Exactly. So that money is on top of the regular budget. And what happens, I don't know if you guys run a business, if you go over budget, that's a problem. You're losing money. And who actually loses the money? Us. We do. The citizens. We're the ones who lose money. Because when war happens, right now, if you look at I think it's the Strait of Hormuz, I don't know how you say it, starts with an H. Iran has shut that down. So that shuts down trade in that whole region. It's a very, very important area because oil gets transported. A lot of stuff, everything that they do in that region goes through that strait. Kind of like our Panama Canal. That shuts down. It's a big problem because it adds 8,000 nautical miles to trade. And that costs gas, and now that you have timing issues. The supply chain gets disrupted. There are resource shortages because the supply chain got disrupted. Now prices go up because the items are more expensive. Why? There's less availability of them. So now we're selling iPhones, and well, there's 100,000 iPhones stuck at sea somewhere that's being blocked because there's a war going on. Now the cost of iPhones goes up, and that's with everything. And that's not even talking like food, things that can expire, things you ordered on Amazon from another country, wood, things that are used to build. It gets stuck somewhere and it can't get to where you're going. There's a shortage. So now the guy who has it has a right to raise the price and say, hey, price is going up. It's more expensive. And everything goes up, pushes up prices. And short-term economic gains only happen in the stock market because of speculation and anything that's war-related. So those things you can make a lot of money on. Absolutely. That's why the market always goes up. But in the long term, it hurts because they're spending so much money. It devalues the dollar because they're printing so much money to spend so much money. That's how it works. And when you have an abundance of something, it's devalued. So if you print, we'll just make up a number, $1 billion extra dollars, even though it's way more than that. It's closer to $1 trillion extra dollars. All the other dollars in circulation are worth less. They're not as important. This is how Venezuela crashed and burned. They were making $10,000 bills. They have one note worth $10,000 so that they can keep trading normally. Because who's going to walk around with suitcases of money? Their answer was, well, we need to print different money. Eventually, nobody wants that money. It's useless. And that's what happened in Venezuela. You have broad-based price inflation in the entire economy. It's everywhere. And that's what it is. And what does long-term inflation do? It hurts the poorest people. Because if I have $100 bill and I'm that's all I have left is $100 bill, and it now becomes worth $50 because everything's price gone up, that bill is not worth as much. But if I have $100 bills, it's not as big a deal. I'll just grab another one. I can match that the more money I make. If that makes any sense. I'm trying to make it make sense. So 15 years ago, Lindsey Graham was talking.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm actually kind of startled by it because my recollection was that this war was about al-Qaeda and terrorism, not about nation building in Afghanistan. You're now suggesting a permanent, in perpetuity presence in Afghanistan, perhaps the most corrupt country, a president who takes bags of cash from Iran. Right. What are we doing? Al-Qaeda is in Pakistan. Al-Qaeda is in Somalia, Yemen. Why are we going to be sending American troops to die to prop up a corrupt Karzai who has been antithetical to what we believe in?
Now, listen, everything he just said and replace Afghanistan with Ukraine. Now, we're not sending people over. Oh, we sent a couple people over there. We're not sending people over there, but we're sending $2 billion to Ukraine. And the exact same claims could be made about them. Exact same. Listen to this. Everything this guy says you can apply to Ukraine. Everything. And Zelensky and their corruption.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm actually kind of startled by it because my recollection was that this war was about al-Qaeda and terrorism, not about nation building in Afghanistan. You're now suggesting a permanent, in perpetuity presence in Afghanistan, perhaps the most corrupt country, a president who takes bags of cash from Iran. Right. What are we doing? Al-Qaeda is in Pakistan. Al-Qaeda is in Somalia, Yemen. Why are we going to be sending American troops to die to prop up a corrupt Karzai who's been antithetical to what we believe in?
Well, my belief is that we're in Afghanistan to protect national security interests of this nation.
It sounds to me like what you're doing is creating a permanent presence in Afghanistan, somewhat akin to what we've got in Korea, propping up a corrupt regime when our true enemy, al-Qaeda, has already left and gone to Pakistan, Somalia, and Yemen, and we're going to be pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into supporting a puppet regime that takes money from other corrupt nations. To what end? I mean, the enemy is al-Qaeda.
The end is securing U.S. national security interest. I'm glad we have troops in Korea.
No, but Senator, but Senator, the objective here, I always thought, was defeat al-Qaeda, which is the terrorist group.
No.
You're saying
okay, so I just played for you what Bush's reasoning was for going there. And you say, no, that's old news. We're on the bigger, better things. It had nothing to do with al-Qaeda. Nobody cares about al-Qaeda.
That's not the objective?
We need American troops in 2000.
This is 14. Oh, he's going to say the year. Sorry.
In Iraq to provide security to our people who are helping the Iraqi people maintain air superiority.
But Senator, the objective here, I always thought, was defeat Al-Qaeda, which is the terrorist group.
No.
You're saying that's not the objective?
We need American troops in 2012, 10 to 15,000, left behind in Iraq to provide security to our people who are helping the Iraqi people, maintain air superiority, to have an edge against Iran, and to make sure that the Iraqi army continues to develop.
You're ready.
So he wants 10 to 15,000 people there in Iraq. This is 14 years ago.
To give missiles to the rebels there.
I think TOW missiles, I'm ready to look at arming them to help themselves. We need American air power back into the fight, and we need to take the fight to Tripoli. Go after his inner circle. That's the way to end this war decisively and quickly. The strategy we have is going to lead to a stalemate. It needs to change. Help the rebels, take the fight to Tripoli, get this thing over with. Gaddafi must go. It'd be a disaster to keep him in.
So this was, now he's talking about Libya.
And I'm glad Gaddafi is dead and a new day dawns, and this president and this Congress and this world will be judged by what happens next. This is a big deal for the world, not just Libya and the United States. If we can get the Libyan oil production back up and running, that's more supply for us here at home, coming from now a friendly nation. So it's in our national security economic interest to help the Libyan people get back on their feet and to make sure a vacuum's not created in Libya on the security front and governance front like Afghanistan and Iraq. There is no ground force being formed in Syria. And if you don't look at Iraq.
So the people we were supposed to be going after in Afghanistan are now running Libya. After we got rid of the person we didn't like in Libya, which was Gaddafi. And he's like, I'm glad he's gone. But we started all of this going after terrorists for bombing in our country, flying planes into buildings in our country. So now we're clearing way for them to take over more countries? Interesting.
In Syria's one battle space, you're making a huge mistake.
So, Senator Graham, the president says because there is no ground force, military advisors tell him that it would require an occupational U.S. force. And that's a recipe for lots and lots of forces for a long period of time.
They will fold like a cheap suit inside of Iraq. Really? If we had 10,000 American forces with some Western coalitions helping us, I think we could get them out of Mosul a lot quicker. I cannot.
So he wants 10 to 15,000 troops in every country in the Middle East, essentially, to have a show of force. Now, if they get attacked, obviously we would have to send more. And he doesn't seem to care. In his mind, he thinks this is going to make the war, this is going to make it end, even though we've never had a war end this way. This is how he thinks you end war, by putting more troops on the ground, more of your kids on the ground. He's never going to have kids. He doesn't rock that way.
Stress to you how urgent it is that we destroy ISIL. Every day that goes by that they hold millions of people under their sway is a bad day for us because they're going to hit us at home if we don't put them on the run. If I'm president of the United States, we're going to send more ground forces into Iraq because we have to. To every candidate tonight, are you willing to commit?
So Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, and Syria, so far he says he wants more troops there.
Before the American people that you will destroy ISIL and you understand we need a ground force to do it. Are you willing, Jake? Please ask everybody the following question. Would you go from 3,500 to 10,000 American boots on the ground in Iraq to destroy ISIL? Because if you don't, we're going to lose. Are you willing to send American combat forces into Syria as part of a regional army? Because if you don't, we'll never destroy ISIL in Syria. If you're not ready to do these things, you're not ready to be commander-in-chief.
Top Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is courting controversy for encouraging Russians to, quote, step up to the plate and assassinate Vladimir Putin.
Is there Brutus in Russia? The only way this ends, my friend, is for somebody in Russia to take this guy out.
Graham's spokesperson noted that the senator also expressed he was okay with a coup to remove Putin, but the senator's comments are being interpreted by some as a call for the assassination of the Russian leader, including fellow Republican Senator Ted Cruz, who now is calling this an exceptionally bad idea.
He did something.
Everything this guy says is to get rid of people he does not like, but he never thinks about what happens if they're gone. It's fascinating to me to watch somebody think like this because it's so surface level. It's so superficial. Listen to him.
People talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered. You just wait.
So now their days are numbered. So he encouraged the Venezuela thing. Now he's encouraging going into Cuba. He wants us in Syria, Libya, Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan. You couldn't spread our military out much more than what he's asking for. And he's this is more than zealotry. There's something else going on here.
To see what comes in the next 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks, meaning what?
We're going to blow the hell out of these people. This regime is in a death row now. It is going to be on its knees. It's going to fall. And when it falls, we're going to have peace like no other time. We're going to have prosperity unlike anyone could ever imagine. Peace brings prosperity. I'm in Miami. You see this hat? Free Cuba. Stay tuned. Yep. The liberation of Cuba is upon us. It's just a matter of time now. You see this hat? Make Iran great. President Trump said the only way to make Iran great is for the people to take over. We're marching through the world. We're cleaning out the bad guys. We're going to have relationships with new people that will make us prosperous and safe. I've never seen anybody like it. This is Ronald Reagan plus. Donald Trump is resetting the world in a way nobody could have dreamed of a year ago. He is the greatest commander-in-chief of all time. Our military is the best of all time. Iran is going down, and Cuba is next.
All of that sounds really good until the next person gets it. Because right now we have the Taliban running a country, we have Al-Qaeda running a country, we have ISIS running a country. These are all countries that we're supposed to be liberating. So how are we liberating these people if we're putting them in a worse off situation than when they were under one dictator? Now they have a group of dictators and religious zealots at that. This is who, like, this mentality is, there's no thought put into this other than I want to kill, kill, kill. We're going to blow them. Like, no thought about tomorrow, just right now. This is what you want. I don't like Putin. We need to assassinate him. Like, okay, I don't like Putin, but assassination? Well, he's a murderer. Okay, so you want to go in and murder thousands of people because he murdered hundreds of people. And you, in your mind, that makes sense.
Iranians today are weaker than they were before. The terrorist machine, the mothership of terrorism, is sinking. That mothership of terrorism has a hole in it, and it's going to the bottom, and the captain is dead, and we're better off. What comes next? I hope and pray it's better. I believe it will be, but I know this. Iran can't hurt us today like they could yesterday.
Hit them as hard as you can.
To me, this is the weirdest thing, I hadn't seen this. I discovered this yesterday when I was putting this together. I'm like, he's reading from a script. I want to know where he got the script from. Listen to this. This is really weird.
As you can to make sure they can't develop a nuclear weapon to destroy the state of Israel and terrorize the world. Nothing has changed in terms of desire. The capability of the Iranians to build a weapon has been dramatically reduced, but not their desire. The capability of Iran to attack Israel has been reduced, but not their desire. So if you see an effort
you hear that? You hear that? It's like he didn't realize he just said it. That's a weird, like, glitch. A very, very strange glitch in his. I don't know if he's got early onset Alzheimer or what's going on, but if you listen, he just repeated himself twice and doesn't seem to realize it.
They can't develop a nuclear weapon to destroy the state of Israel and terrorize the world.
Nothing
has changed in terms of desire. The capability of the Iranians to build a weapon has been dramatically reduced, but not their desire. The capability of Iran to attack Israel has been reduced, but not their desire. So if you see an effort to regenerate the enrichment program, hit it. When it comes to America,
I've never seen anybody do that before. I've never seen anybody do that before. It's very, very strange. It's like he just glitched and then repeated, and glitched and then repeated. He said about the desire 3 times.
as hard as you can, as often as you can, to make sure they can't develop a nuclear weapon to destroy the state of Israel and terrorize the world. Nothing has changed in terms of desire.
Desire.
The capability of the Iranians to build a weapon has been dramatically reduced, but not their desire.
Desire.
The capability of Iran to attack Israel has been reduced, but not their desire. So
3 times he said about their desire, and the capabilities he said twice. Just a full-on glitch, and he just kept going like that. And none of the reporters, like, nobody raised anything about this. That's very, very, very weird. I've never seen anybody do that before. Biden has never even done that.
So if you see an effort to regenerate the enrichment program, hit it. When it comes to America, Israel has taken a hit, but it has all over the world. This is a war of television.
You're winning on the ground, you're losing in the air, television-wise. Focus on achieving your war aims. The war aims is not genocide. If Israel wanted to kill all the Palestinians, they could. Hamas wants to kill all the Israelis, they can't.
It sounds like he's just going down a line of a script or talking points. Very, very strange.
Hezbollah would kill everybody in Israel if they could. Nobody in Israel wants to kill everybody in Lebanon. From a United States point of view, it is in our interest that the Jewish state thrive, survive, thrive, become potent on the military side, and become an economic power. The better you do in Israel, the better America does.
I've yet to hear anyone explain that to me, because he's not the first person I've heard say that. Because every country can say, I mean, I could say if the better every country is doing, that helps the world because there's less conflict. But he's limited it, and he says if Israel is not doing well, then America is not doing well, and if Israel is doing well, America, it's better for America. I don't understand it. Listen to what he's going to do here, though. Now he's going to start calling other countries out because they're like, I'm not into this. I don't think we should be doing this right now. I don't think we should be doing this at all. But there are countries who are against going after Iran, even though they don't like Iran. A lot of these countries hate Iran. They're just like, this is not helping. We don't know what's coming in after they are gone. We've already taken out their supreme leader, but I've yet to see a country get taken over after something like this do better as a direct result.
He literally dodged a nuclear bullet. If President Trump had not done this, they could have had a nuclear capability within months, weeks, not months. And if they had a weapon, they would use it. To all those who don't believe that, you're stupid. You're a fool. And I hate to be so harsh. People got Hitler wrong. Donald Trump is the right man at the right time. To our allies, if you can't join this fight, what fight are you going to join? To Spain. You won't let us use your our air bases in your country to stop a homicidal regime from getting nuclear weapons that terrorize the world. I'm just
going to play it. He's calling out all these countries because they're like, yeah, I don't support this. Israel is not an ally. They're our ally, but they're not a NATO ally. Nobody has obligated to do anything for them. But he seems to think that they are. We don't have any agreement with them that we're supposed to do this. We're supposed to protect them. We don't.
encouraging President Donald J. Trump tonight to move all of our bases out of Spain. You know, we have an Article 5 commitment to Spain under NATO, but we shouldn't have air bases in a country that will not let us use those planes to protect the world against a religious Nazi regime.
It's not protecting the world, it's protecting Israel. And now he wants to make enemies of countries that aren't. Now, again, these are our actual allies. He wants to go after our allies for not fighting for somebody else. It's unbelievable. This is so weird. What's not worth it to say? From getting, how do you punish somebody for your thoughts? No evidence shown. You punish you. I don't understand the question. I don't understand the question. Sorry.
As to Lebanon, there is a military leader in charge of the Lebanese army that I don't trust as far as I can throw him. He is willfully ignoring Hezbollah. He's not disarming Hezbollah. There were rockets fired from areas that were supposed to be cleared by the Lebanese army. Let's get somebody in charge.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So this is no different than Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction, and they never showed us, and they showed us what could have been, but then what ended up happening is they were wrong. Oh, sorry, my bad. Tens of thousands of people dead looking for these weapons and in a war as a result of these weapons, and they never existed. Whoops.
Charge of the Lebanese military that will use it. Finally, to my friends in Saudi Arabia, I've been your biggest champion. I think the Crown Prince has taken Saudi Arabia in a completely different direction in a good way. But here's what I want to say to Saudi Arabia tonight. I'm willing to do a mutual defense agreement with your country to give you protection in perpetuity. Under the agreement I've been pushing, and I hope we can continue to talk about, if you're attacked by Iran, we would go to war for you. To Saudi Arabia, our embassy was hid in Riyadh. Do you not have an obligation to join the fight with us? You've yet to do that. So if you do not believe the American embassy being attacked in Riyadh would trigger mutual self-defense, maybe we shouldn't do a treaty with you. To our friends in the United Arab Emirates.
It's like he thinks he's the president. I'm willing to do this for you. Who are you? You're a senator. One senator. So what you're really saying is I can write up a bill and then try to get it passed, but he's talking like he's a president. So far he's just calling everyone out. Calling out Spain, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, because he wants them to join in on a war that they don't agree with. You can't force. Israel is not. What's going on, Phoenix? Israel's not. Israel's our ally. We have no obligation to them. In the UN, we actually have obligation to protect these countries that you're threatening.
Not have an obligation to join the fight with us? You've yet to do that.
No obligation.
So if you do not believe the American embassy being attacked in Riyadh would trigger mutual self-defense, maybe we shouldn't do a treaty with you. To our friends in the United Arab Emirates, you joined the Abraham Accords when nobody else would. You've been a great partner, but you said today publicly at the UN, your country would not be used to join the fight against the Ayatollah's regime. This is so disappointing. We need partners that will step forward in a fight that we can afford to lose. The Arab countries are as much a threat as we are. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would use it. They've been lying about what they're doing with their nuclear program. They want to bomb because they're Nazis. They're crazy. They want to kill all the Jews, and the Jews have been down that road before. To our friends in Israel, God bless you. I'm with you in every way. To all the anti-Semitites, to all the isolationists, I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for. So we have a commander-in-chief in President Trump, who I think is Ronald Reagan plus.
Senator and Trump.
What's really interesting about that is he will die. He said he will ride with Israel until our dying day. So he's willing to put our country at risk for this other country. That's called treason. He literally said an oath to protect this country. And he's willing to put Americans to death for another country. It's so absurd. So here's the response to this guy just threatening everybody around the world for not agreeing with him.
Ally Lindsey Graham has pressed on Saudi Arabia to join the U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran, describing it as a fight of mutual interest. However, this came with a warning, with Graham questioning whether Washington should honor a long-sought defense deal with Saudi Arabia, saying the kingdom's refusal to join military operations against Iran makes such a partnership hard to justify.
Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain said they were responding to incoming fire and warned residents to seek shelter. Drones have reported.
So now we're really getting into this, because Iran's using these drones and they're striking everywhere around them with these drones.
Fallen near Dubai airport, injuring 4 people. A UK maritime monitor said a cargo ship was struck in the Strait of Hormuz, starting a fire and forcing the crew to evacuate. Iran has also been hit in overnight strikes. These are the latest pictures coming into us. Officials saying more than 1,300 people have been killed by the US and Israeli airstrikes since the war began.
At least 3 apartments, 3 stories were targeted. The Israeli media is saying that it was targeting Islamic group. 4 members were hit, but we don't have any confirmation yet about that. But these kind of attacks in central city, in residential areas, away from Hezbollah's stronghold, are sending, waves of fear among the Lebanese. And this is the second time in a course of a week an attack happens in central Beirut. A few days ago, also very close to where I live and where I'm standing now, at the seaside, a hotel, a 5-star hotel was hit by the seaside. Israel said they were targeting a Revolutionary Guards member, and yesterday the Iranians came out to announce that 4 diplomats were killed.
The alert. So this is getting more serious because, again, Israel is attacking other countries. They're not just fighting Iran. They're fighting 8 wars at once. It was 7. It was a 7-front war. Now there's 8 wars that they have going on. So they're just bombing everybody. Where are they getting these capabilities from? And more importantly, these drones are wild. I want you to think about this, because I'm going to ask a question to everybody who talks about, and I'm not diminishing our military at all, but when you don't think about certain things, you start getting cocky and arrogant, and you start underestimating your foe.
That we reviewed said an uncorroborated report suggested that
Listen to this.
unidentified Mexican cartel leaders had authorized attacks using drones carrying explosives, so they know that capability exists. And the separate alert that we've reviewed, Kira, says that Iran has those same kinds of aspirations. So the U.S. has broadly known for some time that drones could be deployed against the homeland. We know that Iran has been using drones significantly in this 12-day-old war with the United States. That's what killed the first 6 U.S. service members in this war. But now the FBI is specifically warning police agencies in California along the Pacific coastline that Iran is aspiring to use them to attack in the West.
So why California? Why the West?
Good question. And that's not exactly clear, but perhaps there's thought that Iran has these things pre-positioned on ships that are still in international waters or that could float through international waters. We know that we've previously reported, Kira, on Iran's desire to perhaps activate sleeper cells in the United States, although that's certainly far from confirmed or far from anything operational as far as law enforcement knows. It's not clear why the West Coast as opposed to the East Coast, but that's what the alert from the FBI says.
The United States is conducting.
So before we get to him, I want you guys to think about these drones. Because it's so absurd. Pull this up for you. Share a screen. Pull this down. Put this up. Full screen, full screen, full screen. This is unbelievable. These drones, they're called the Shahed or Shahed 136 kamikaze drones. They cost $20,000 to $50,000 to make. I need you to think about that. If you want to send these things forever, you can do it because they don't cost anything to make. What we use are Patriot missiles, and we have these things called THAAD, THAAD missiles. I have a question for everyone who's really arrogant when it comes to our capabilities. Because our Patriot missiles cost between $1 to $4 million each. I need you to think about this, because this is the thing that people don't do. They don't think. To shoot down a $20,000 to $50,000 drone, we spend $1 to $4 million for each one. Does that make sense to you? So if you want to shoot down and you want to use the Patriot Pack 3, the Patriot missiles, at $4.5 million, we're losing $4.48 million every time we successfully shoot down a drone. Is that success? If it's one of the more expensive ones, of the 50,000, we're losing $4.5 million every time we successful shoot one down. And the THAAD missiles, completely different. Those are $12 to $15 million each. So at that point, we don't even have to talk about those, because you're spending $4 million to destroy something that's $20,000. You're losing by winning. What is winning? Winning. By protecting us against something that we don't have to be getting shot at by. What an hour. Power means more to some. Yeah. It's a drug. But we're going to spend $4.5 million to shoot, or $4.48 million to shoot down something that is pennies to them. Remember, this is still an oil country, and they still have China backing them. They can literally send these $20,000 to $50,000 drones at us forever. And what are we going to do? We're going to lose money every time we hit one. Every time we fire one of these things. But it's like even our regular Tomahawk missiles, if we're using those to destroy wherever they're sending these cheap unit, these things are nothing. 20,000? That's not, that's chump change. That's nothing. $20,000 to $50,000. That's what they're spending to shoot at us, and we're spending $4 million back to knock them down. It makes zero sense. Why are we doing this? Why is nobody thinking about, hey, this is pretty dumb? Because this is a smaller nation. We're arrogant. We can take them out anytime we want. We're not going to, but we can if we want to. So we want to flex. And we think it's flexing by shooting down a $20,000 to $50,000 drone with a $4 million, $4.5 million rocket. And that makes sense to people. This is why they're able to lob so many missiles and so many drones at all these other countries. It costs them nothing. $50,000 to an oil nation, even with the sanctions. This is why they're able to do what they do. With China backing you, it's dumb. It makes no sense to do this. It makes no financial sense to do this. It's dangerous because now they're talking about getting them here, and however they get them here, okay, whatever. They may not be able to, they may be able to. It only takes one $50,000 drone, $20 to $50,000 drone. They can literally do this forever. We can't do this forever, which is why everything we do has to be quick. We got to go in, we got to take them out, we got to do blah, blah, blah. But this is Marco Rubio explaining why we're doing this. I need you to hear this because this is really important. This is really important.
To eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy.
I thought it was about the long-range capabilities. Short-range can't hit the United States. They keep saying this is not a war over Israel. Okay, all right. Well, everyone who I've spoken to about this says this is not about Israel. So why do we care about short-range? Can they hit us with short-range missiles? No, they can hit everyone around them. That's for them to deal with. I hate to sound callous. I hate to act as if I care more than I do. I don't. So I don't want to act like it and pretend. It's not that I'm, it's not that I don't care about the people. I just care about my people more. If that makes sense. There's a guilt that comes with that. Like when something happens and there's a shooting, and it's back in Inglewood, West Inglewood in Chicago, or Gage Park in Chicago. My first thought is, oh man, I hope none of my nephews or nieces, nothing happened to them. And then I find out, oh no, it was another kid who got unalived. Okay, I'm not happy that kid got unalived. I'm happy it's none of my nephews or nieces. That's what this is, and it's not even that close. But I'm trying to make the point that just because I'm happy that we're not fighting this, or we're not supposed to be fighting this war, that we're not losing people the way they are, doesn't mean I'm happy that they're gone. I just have a different interest, and my vested interest is in family. If I hear something's happened over, on the north side where one of my sisters lives, as soon as I find out she's good, I'm good. It's for somebody else to go through the pain and suffering of losing their loved one. I don't feel good about them. I feel good that it's not me. And that's selfish. I understand it. But this is life. It's unfortunate. Would I work to stop shootings in the city of Chicago if I had the resources and ability to? Yes. Does that mean I'm going to feel the exact same way if one person gets unalived as my family? No. It's worse for me. So I just don't feel the same. So when he said let's go back, short range, I'm like, huh? I thought this was about us. Doesn't seem to be about us.
Ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy, particularly to naval assets. That is what it is focused on doing right now, and it's doing quite successfully. I'll leave it to the Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. The second question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond and respond against the United States. The order.
So if Iran got attacked first, they were going to respond. So we had to attack first? Not worth it. I thought they were going to attack us so U.S. moved first. That's what I thought. They need to get their lives together. That's what why would we attack them because they're going to attack Israel? Because there are people, there are representatives in this country that believe an attack on Israel is an attack on us. They have dual loyalty. That's traitorous. You can't have dual loyalty. Your oath was to me. Your oath was not to Israel. Are you serious? Listen to this.
The United States is conducting an operation to eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy, particularly to naval assets. That is what it is focused on doing right now, and it's doing quite successfully. I'll leave it to the Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. The second question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond.
Who wouldn't respond? So what he's saying is if Israel attacked, they were going to respond on us. Yeah, because we're standing next to them and we shouldn't be. Now, if we were over here on this side, on this side of the world, and Israel attacked, guess who would be the recipients of the response? Israel. They're not an ally of ours. Oh, correct. They're our ally. We have no obligation to defend them. So the justification is, well, what if Iran gets attacked? They're going to attack other people. Yeah, that's kind of what people do. That's kind of what people do. If you get attacked, you attack back. That's Israel's whole existence. We're just defending ourselves, our right to exist. Okay. So if they attack us, we attack back. Yeah, that's how it works. So now what we're saying is Iran, if they get attacked, can't attack back or what? That's wrong. I am not an Iranian apologist. What I'm saying is put yourself in anyone's shoes and put this scenario in any other hands. Say it was us being attacked. And somebody's saying, well, if we attacked you, we knew you would attack us back, so we had to attack you first. It's like, huh? So you attacked before you were going to attack? That's what he's saying. This makes no sense. This makes no sense. This is our justification.
West Coast as opposed to the East Coast, but that's what the alert from the FBI says.
The United States is conducting an operation to eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy, particularly to naval assets. That is what it is focused on doing right now, and it's doing quite successfully. I'll leave it to the Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. The second question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond and respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bared to be true, because in fact, within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact,
so he's saying that the generals on the ground, the Iranian generals on the ground, They were told, if you get attacked, fight back. And he's like, well, and it turns out it was true. When we attacked, they fought back. Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do. This is the most insane press conference I've ever seen. We had to attack Iran first. Because if we attacked Iran first, or Israel, they just threw that in there like we're not talking about them. If we attacked Iran first, they would respond. So we had to attack earlier than we were planning on attacking. Or Israel. This is insane. This is
reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond and respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bared to be true because, in fact, within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned.
So it turns out we were right. When we attacked them, they attacked back. We knew it. This guy's normally smart. Marco Rubio is a very smart guy, but this is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in politics. He said, if the United States or anyone, let's get rid of the United States. If Israel attacks Iran, Iran's going to attack back, and they might attack us too. Why? I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe because we have people like Lindsey Graham saying he has an undying love for Israel. And we'll do anything for Israel till his dying day, till our dying day, to be fair, to our kids' dying day. Maybe that's why they would attack us first. Maybe because we picked a side and we're very clear about picking a side. So this guy just said, if Israel attacks Iran, they're going to attack us. So we had to attack first. Turns out we were right. We attacked Iran and they attacked back. Captain Obvious doesn't even describe how dumb. Like, what do you expect?
Third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made a very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces.
There it is. There it is. So he said, if they attacked us first, then we would lose more people. So we attacked first, so we didn't lose as many people. We've only lost 7 in 12 days. Only 7.
Compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that.
There it is. Israel dictated that we had to do this war. He just said it. We knew Israel was going to do something. We didn't want to get attacked, so we had to join in on that and make sure they couldn't attack us too. Or you could have stopped Israel. That's the other option. I mean, listen, I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a drone scientist. I'm not a Patriot missile scientist. But there was another option, and that was Israel. Don't attack. But in his mind, we have no choice. Well, those Israelis are going out to fight again. I guess we have to join in. Why? How is that on us? He admitted it. We knew Israel was going to attack, so we had to attack so we didn't get attacked. Now that makes sense. I mean, it doesn't fully make sense, but I mean, logically, that's more sound. Saying we knew Israel was going to attack and Iran was going to not just respond to them, they're going to respond to us. Because we are sticking our nose in a fight that has nothing to do with us. So this is the, sorry, white people, this is the white chick trying to jump in between two men fighting. She always gets hit. She never knows to just stop and stay out of the way. This is what that is. That's us. We're the white girl jumping in and trying, oh my God, stop. That's us. Or we could stay out. Everybody says that chick is dumb. How did she know like, come on, what is she doing? She knows she's going to get hit. It happened. I can go down TikTok and Instagram and see it every day. And I'm not exaggerating. Every single day. And every time I'm like, this broad is about to get hit because she's jumping in between two men fighting. We're being that dumb broad jumping in, and we know we're going to get hit. So what do? We're still on them. The other option for that lady is to just get out of the way. But in her mind, well, I might as well hit the guy first because he's going to hit my man, and then he's going like, this is what we're doing. How old are we? What kind of logic is this? This was the dumbest press conference from a political official I have ever seen. Turns out we were right. They attacked us. And then the truth came out. Well, Israel was going to attack, so we had to jump in. At least that tracks. It still ignores the fact that we could have just walked away. Or it's told Israel, don't do it or you're on your own. Publicly say that. Then if they do that, guess what? They're on their own. It's on them. But instead, we still on them. You stole. That's the mentality of these idiots. Instead of stopping your little brother from getting into this fight, you jump in, and then you get shamed. And you blame the person who cut you. Who's at fault? It's either yours or the little brother who won't stop swinging on everybody. And he can't win any wars by himself. No accountability is going to cause problems for this country. And their recklessness, they're just throwing bombs everywhere and saying, well, hey, they started it. That's not how reality works. Everyone knows at some point, even the most rabid supporters of Israel are going to start saying, every country is doing this to you? Every one of them. And it'll always, for me, go back to, okay, so why are you spying on us? Why were you celebrating on 9/11? It's always going to come back to for me.
An hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated.
They responded.
In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
No, we would all be asking questions about why you got involved. Why did you have to fight because they want to fight? Why couldn't you stop them? If you're going to get involved, stop the aggressor. Nah, we don't want to do that. We got to become the aggressor.
Going back to the purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? What they are trying to do and have been trying to do for a very long time is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where it can hide behind. Meaning,
you mean strength with power so that you don't have to use it? Is that what we do? We have this huge military. It's supposed to be preventative. It's supposed to scare people. Now, again, I'm not saying they wouldn't use it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't care. I'm saying that has nothing to do with me. That's what I'm saying. Let Israel take them out. I believe Israel can take on Iran. But I don't think we need to be there to help them. I just don't. I don't even think we should be funding it. $39 trillion in debt. And I believe all of that is from the military, because the $8 trillion that we spent on these wars over the last 30 years or however long it's been. Created inflation, caused more money to be printed. It didn't, I won't say it deflated. It destroyed, it didn't fully destroy. It hurt our dollar in a way that nothing else could have. And that 8 trillion, in my opinion, it more than doubled the damage in our debt. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
There would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That is what they were trying to do. You see,
Israel has a nuclear program. It is illegal. They're not supposed to have a nuclear program. Why are we allowing that? Why do we allow that? If you asked, I've talked about this before, if you asked an Israeli official if they have nuclear weapons, they would ask why you're asking. They can't answer the question because it's illegal what they have. But we don't say anything about it. Everyone knows they have them. It's illegal that they have them, but they don't get held accountable. You know why? Because they'll use them. So everything he's saying about Iran can be, the exact same thing can be said about Israel. When you come under threat, you'll do crazy things. If Israel was under a legitimate threat, they would do crazy things. If we were under a legitimate threat, we would do crazy things. We've done it. But you can't make this case about one country and then ignore that another country is doing the exact same thing because you say the other country is worse. That is your opinion. And if they do something, I mean, I don't know how we pick and choose when we support so many bad guys who have nukes. I'm not even going to get into that because that's going to take me off to Pakistan and other countries.
where they can hide behind. Meaning, there would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That is what they were trying to do. You see the...
Sorry. China and Russia both have nukes. They're considered the worst people on the planet. Have they used them? Why are you so convinced? I don't know. To me, this makes no sense. Absolutely no sense to me. Do we want everyone with nukes? No. But do we know people who have nukes? Yes. Are we okay with Israel having them, even though they're not supposed to have them? Yes. Why? That's my question. Why? Israel, get rid of your nuclear program. That's the only way Iran won't continue to work towards theirs. Because I'm pretty sure that can be the beginning of a real peace deal. Hey, Iran, if we got rid of Israel's nukes, would you stop seeking to get nukes? Pretty sure that would be the ultimate way to actually negotiate peace. But as long as their sworn enemy has one, they're going to keep trying to get it. That's what humans do. If I got a handgun and I know somebody I really don't like has semi-automatic rifles, I'm going to get a semi-automatic rifle. I'm going to get 2, maybe 3, and a shotgun. That's what people do.
Attacks they're conducting right now, they're attacking airports, they're attacking hotels, they're hitting not just military bases, they're attacking our embassies directly, they're attacking facilities that have nothing to do with war or with military.
That's exactly what Israel's doing. We just heard the lady in Beirut say they targeted a 5-star hotel. Israel targeted a 5-star hotel. Yeah, but there was a guy in there who, is a sworn enemy of the state of Israel. Okay, but so you kill everybody in the hotel? That's not our fault. They shouldn't have been in the hotel. This is what we're dealing with right now. Well, we told them to get out the hotel. When? Yesterday. You sure they got the leaflet? Like, What if they were asleep? I hate to laugh at that, but I'm not laughing that it's funny. I'm laughing at the absurdity. And this is the talking points that they use. We warned them. What about the owner of the hotel? Like what?
And that's a weakened Iran. That's an Iran despite years of sanction. Imagine a year from now or a year and a half from now the capabilities they would have to inflict damage on us. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics. The Ayatollah was a radical cleric. That entire regime is led by radical clerics who don't make geopolitical decisions. They make decisions on the basis of theology, their view of theology, which is an apocalyptic one. That has to be.
Okay, so their view of theology is an apocalyptic one. Israel's view of theology is they are owed all of the land that all these Muslims are on. And it's theirs, and they can take it whenever they want. And they have a right to. Not only do they have a right, it's a God-given right. All right, so we're kind of at an impasse here. Both sides are doing this. Doesn't matter which side I agree with, they're both doing it. One, he says it's an apocalyptic outlook, and it may be. I don't know what their look on apocalypse is. I don't. But I do know that Israel claims the right to all of that land, and God gave it to them. So they are both in a theological exercise here. And you can't dismiss one because they're both doing the same thing.
A year from now or a year and a half from now, the capabilities they would have to inflict damage on us. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics. The Ayatollah was a radical cleric. That entire regime is led by radical clerics who don't make geopolitical decisions. They make decisions on the basis of theology, their view of theology, which is an apocalyptic one. That has to be taken very seriously as well.
It does. It does have to be taken seriously. And I think they take it pretty seriously when another country says that, hey, you're on my land, get off. That's just me. I'm not siding with Iran. I'm saying they're two sides of a coin. And we don't have to be in between them. There's a lot of things that this country could do to stop this war, but it's to treat both sides fairly, regardless if they're fighting fair. Because neither of them are fighting fair. Let's be real here. They hate each other. They're not going to fight fair. Our job should be to make them both fight fair, not to pick a side. Because once you pick a side, you're in. Now you're going to be put in a position where if Israel attacks them, they're going to attack us. So why are we at war? How does how does Iran have any of these capabilities? Because last year, in June, Trump was saying this.
I believe it was total obliteration. I believe they didn't have a chance to get anything out because we acted fast.
It was preliminary. It was low confidence. All right, so this is you make assessments based on what you know.
It said it could be very devastating, very serious.
Moderate to severe, and we believe far more likely severe and obliterated.
President Trump this morning said that the Iranian nuclear program has been set back decades, and he also said that Iran would not enrich uranium anymore.
The last thing they want to do is enrich anything right now. They want to recover.
Again, this is last year. So how did they regain these capabilities if we obliterated them severely?
Details of the initial damage assessment were leaked to the BBC's US partner, CBS, and
this is last year.
Media. The briefing was originally reported by CNN. Its preliminary finding is that Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium was not destroyed, and its centrifuges used to enrich the nuclear fuel are largely intact. CNN quoted one official as saying the US set them back maybe a few months tops. Posting on his Truth Social account, he said the reports were an attempt to demean one of the most successful military strikes in history, and the nuclear sites in Iran are completely destroyed.
What these intelligence officials have said is that a preliminary report into the extent of the damage to Iran's nuclear facilities from those attacks over the weekend by the United States show that while those facilities have been damaged, the nuclear program has not been significantly set back. They estimate it's been set back by up to 3 months. Now, before the attack, American intelligence thought that at a push, Iran could build a nuclear weapon within maybe 3 months. So they say they've pushed that back to 6 months. But although there seems to be extensive damage, according to this report, to the exterior of, in particular, the Fordo nuclear facility, that huge facility buried deep underneath the mountain, they say that the centrifuges deep down under the mountain, although damaged, have not been destroyed. And
so we did not obliterate anything. We set them back, like it was reported to the BBC. This is June of last year. So we have Trump and Hegseth saying, no, yeah. They don't have the capabilities anymore. And here we are, less than a year later, fighting them because they have these capabilities. So you were wrong. You're going to admit you were wrong?
Crucially, the 500 or so kilos of enriched uranium, which is what Iran would need to build a weapon, well, that had been shifted out from the site before the attack happened. The White House and the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, have completely rejected these findings. They say that the facilities were completely obliterated. They say you can't drop such heavy bombs onto facilities without them being completely destroyed. And they say that the intelligence officials who leaked this information were trying to undermine President Trump.
I think as everyone...
And it's interesting because this go round, I haven't heard anyone say, hey, you know what? We thought we obliterated their capabilities, but clearly we didn't. We have to go back in and finish the job. At least that's digestible. That I can say, okay, hey, you admitted that you didn't do something, and now for accountability's sake, you're coming forward and letting us know. Instead, we're just pretending like this never happened. And we're watching it right now. I'm showing you guys right now what happened less than a year ago. What is it, March? It's March 12th. This happened in June of last year, of 2025. So instead of just saying it and being honest, this is supposed to be the most transparent administration ever. Just say it. We were wrong. This is why the whole Iraq thing was so bad. It took them decades to finally acknowledge, okay, that he didn't have weapons of mass destruction. And here we are, okay, maybe we didn't obliterate it, but we won't say it because that would be a failure. We're too arrogant. Our capabilities, we have this, we have these mother of all bombs, we have these bunker busters, we have all this stuff. It didn't work. This little archaic country surrounded by mountains, they were able to build these things that you couldn't touch. And when you tried and you used all the might and the military and the technology and all this, the greatest military action ever, it failed. So just say it. I think more Americans will be open to say, okay, bomb them again and get out, if we just were honest, or if they were just honest to us. It didn't work last time. We thought it did. You know, after further, what they really should have did was said, you know, a few months after this, hey, you know what? Maybe we didn't get that. We may have to go in, unfortunately. We're not going to send people in, but we didn't do what we thought we did. Instead, you wait until March of the following year to just go in there and act like there was some imminent threat. It wouldn't have been an imminent threat if you took care of it back then. And then, like I said, a couple months later, say, hey, we may have to do this again. Or a week later, go back in, boom, boom. We didn't get it. We thought we did. But now, makes no sense. The only reason we're doing this is because Israel's doing it.
Kind of saying it's too soon to tell from the battle damage assessment, right? We're hearing that phrase a lot, how far back Iran's nuclear weapons option has been set. And we have Israel saying that they've done around 2 years of damage to that option. I think if we're talking about the Fordow site, it is true that the facility below around 90 meters of earth could still be intact, but it's a real question whether some of the 2,700 centrifuges in that facility would still be able to function after sustaining such a huge blow. And then I think a lot has been not devoted attention-wise to the weaponization route, which Israel did serious damage to in the strikes before the U.S. got involved.
In my opinion, they should do what she just said and just destroy everything around it so they can't access it. And if you can't access it, then what difference does it make what's over there? Any road, and I would keep doing it. If it's as soon as they start trying to build bridges or roads to get there, blow it up. To me, that makes sense. So you have this big, giant diamond sitting in the middle of the desert that no one can get to. Be a little bit easier, huh? In my opinion. I don't know who this lady is, but what she just said makes way more sense.
So even if Iran wanted to go to the bomb in a dash effort, it really would have a difficult time doing so.
On one side.
Now this guy, I never knew I agreed with him on so many things before he passed away. Because people watch more when people pass away. But he's the one who was trying to get Trump to not go in last year. This is Charlie Kirk on dealing with Iran, daring to try regime change, and letting people know this is not a good idea. This is dumb.
Is the Lindsey Graham, John Bolton types, where they are actively calling for regime change. Here is Lindsey Graham. And this is just lunacy. This kind of analysis is not helpful. This kind of approach, this kind of argument, it has nothing to do with nuclear weapons at this point. This is now that we want to go all in and take out the regime. It's time for us to close the chapter on the Iranian Ayatollah and his henchmen and start a new chapter in the Middle East. And that sounds good, doesn't it? But what have we learned when it comes to wars, and especially wars in the Middle East? What you draw up on a whiteboard rarely happens. What you think theoretically is going to occur, there might be unintended and unforeseen consequences, especially when you're talking about a country 2.5 times the size of Texas. It has 90 million people and was an ancient and great power with well over a dozen ethnic groups. You have underground Christians. You don't really have many Jews left in Persia. But also you have secular younger Persians. Who's going to run the country exactly, Lindsey Graham? This sounds like Hillary Rodham Clinton in Libya. So I'm pointing to the first extreme right now, the neoconservative extreme. The we must go take off the head of the snake right now. Play cut 285.
Be all in, President Trump, in helping Israel eliminate the nuclear threat. If we need to provide bombs to Israel, provide bombs. If we need to fly planes with Israel, do joint operations. But here's the bigger question. Wouldn't the world be better off if the Ayatollahs went away and replaced by something better? Wouldn't Iran be better off? It's time to close the chapter on the Iranian Ayatollah and his henchmen. Let's close that chapter soon and start a new chapter in the Mideast, one of tolerance, hope, and peace.
Okay, that sounds good, but that's pathologically insane. I'm sorry, it is. How do you know it's going to be better? Yeah, the Ayatollah is awful.
No way.
But maybe he's one of the few guys that can keep that country together and not have a 90 million person civil war. Lindsey Graham is so consistently out of his mind, it's hard to even comprehend. Iran is hugely diverse. It is a massive country. Do the people agitating for war even know that? Because be clear, regime change is war. Just to understand, regime change is not like changing the head coach at the Chicago Bears. That's not how it works. It's not like a clean transfer. Typically in the Mideast, it's very messy, creates a quagmire, and then there is civil war. Do you understand how large Iran is? It's massive. It's a very big country. It's mountainous. It makes Afghanistan and Iraq look like a cakewalk. Just look at this beast of a country with all the different regions, all the different dialects, if we could put that up on screen. And then you have a major refugee concern of Mohammedans that will come to Europe and endanger more Christians than Jews, and Mohammedans that will come to America. No, that is wrong. So that is one extreme. The other extreme is one that I have deep respect and reverence for, because I actually think if we had that other extreme, we would not have invaded Iraq. This other extreme is philosophically important. It's important to consider, and that's the Ron Paul extreme. And I love Ron Paul. Ron Paul is awesome. I would have Ron Paul on the show regularly. He is a hero because Ron Paul had the courage to challenge old sacred cows of the Republican Party. He made people defend the indefensible. But the Ron Paul perspective is strictly isolationist. I actually agree with a lot of this other extreme, a lot. I think it's healthy to have this other extreme more than the neoconservative extreme, because this extreme has been underrepresented in the public dialogue and discourse the last 20 years. So you have these two extremes. I honestly don't think the neoconservative extreme needs to be represented philosophically anymore. It's uninteresting to me. They've done a mess of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, the entire Middle East, Ukraine. We know what the neoconservatives believe. I do think hearing out, and honestly, I agree with a lot of the more, I think isolationist is used as a pejorative, but let's just say restrained community. Take out the Ayatollah. Resist that temptation. That's not prudence. That's not self-control. That's something else talking. That's a zeal. And that very same zeal got us involved in a pile of garbage in Iraq. It all felt good with shock and awe in March of 2003. We're unstoppable. We're going to take Iraq in a weekend. Turns out, it didn't work that way. A lot of people died. A lot of Americans died unnecessarily.
This was another reason right here. I thought the first lie was how badly they treated Iran. Yeah, well, they're killing protesters. They're killing hundreds. Then it changed to 30,000. Iran killed 30,000 of their people. So let's go bomb over there and we'll kill 5,000. Like, that's the response? It makes no sense. If anybody would like to come up, I can have a logical, calm conversation about this. If you disagree, I won't mock you or anything like that. If anyone wants to give a reason why they think we should be there. Lindsey Graham has been in office. I looked it up while that was going. He's been in office since 1992. I think term limits would change a lot of the problems we have in this country. I genuinely do. He was in the House of Representatives from 92 to 94, and then from 95 to 2003. And then he's been in the Senate since 2003. He's got to go. He's got to go. Oh, no, he was in the South Carolina House of Representatives from 92 to 94. So he's been in federal office since 95. He's got to go. These people are outdated. They don't think everything all the way through. They just keep repeating the same mistakes over and over and over and over and over. And it's like, dude, how many times are you going to walk into that glass pane? Like, open the door. It's a door. It's not glass. You're just going to keep walking into it? Like, your nose doesn't hurt? Nobody wants to come up. I'm just going to thank everybody and get out of here. Not worth it. Appreciate you. Who else was it? Phoenix Rising. Thank you, young lady. Appreciate you stopping by. Skulls Potter over on Rumble. Appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by. Tinted Manic over on Twitch. Appreciate you. Uncle L, Bad Guy, Dish and Dirt. Thank you guys for stopping by. I don't believe, actually, I know we shouldn't be fighting in this war. I know it. Don't let people, midterms are coming. Do not let people tell you that this is about Tucker Carlson. And definitely don't let people tell you that this is about Candace Owens. It's not. It is not. Their failures have nothing to do with these people. These people are calling it out. They're saying, yeah, we shouldn't be doing this. This is a Zionism thing. And that's exactly what it is. This is people saying that this country has a right to be where it is and then expand if it wants to. That's what Mike Huckabee said. Well, if they wanted to, they could. They should. But they don't want to. So it's good. Just let them have the land. Okay, well, let's leave them alone and let them do what they're going to do. If they can fight it and take it, let them keep it. I don't care. But we don't have to be involved in. They're acting as if we do, and I reject it outright. Completely reject. It's nonsense. I'm gonna be back later drawing. I'm back. All my pages are what do you call it? It's okay now that I can go on TikTok. I'm gonna be going live on. I'll probably do this channel and the new art channel. So follow that if you're interested in watching somebody draw. I'll be doing that later on. You can only go live for some reason on 3 platforms from Streamer. I thought you could do more, but so I'll be going on Twitch and then I'll be going on TikTok and 2 YouTubes today. This one and then my new art channel. So subscribe there, please. My TikTok this is where I'll be live later on. I got some work to do. I can finish this drawing and move on to the next one and get back to it. My back is much, much better. I don't think I'll have any issues with my back. So those are the 2 channels I'll be going live on, probably like 7 p.m. And I won't finish, but I gotta move a whole eye over. Not a lot. I just have to move it because it's gonna drive me crazy. That's all I got for you guys today. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a QR code on the top. You can support me there. I don't have it open. I hope I'm not missing anybody if they did. support. If you did support, I apologize. Let me see. You know what? I can't do that. Just make sure I'm not forgetting anybody. I don't want to do that. I would feel horrible. I have to check my phone. But anyway, that is all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Nope, not ignoring anybody. And I will see you tonight if you're interested in art. Otherwise, probably Monday with another live. That's all I got. Where are we? Yeah. That's all.